G'day, I'm Andrew Marshall with the Northern Australia Climate Program at the University of Southern Queensland, and this is a short summary of the Bureau of Meteorology's Climate Outlook for Queensland for the weeks and months ahead, issued on the 28th of August 2025. Now we'll take a look at the rainfall outlooks to begin with, starting with these outlook scenarios, and these are the rainfall totals that have a 75% chance of occurring for your region. So looking ahead to the 3 months from September to November, we're seeing a 75% chance of around 25 to 50 millimetres of rain for parts of Western Queensland and around 50 to 100 millimetres for central regions, increasing to 200 millimetres for parts of the southeast and the northeast coast. And looking further ahead to the 3 months from October to December, we're seeing those rainfall forecast totals increase as we move into the wet season for Northern Australia, and we'll look closer at that next month. So don't forget to use this magnifying glass to drill deeper into the forecast, specifying your location of interest to break down the forecast into the chance of different rainfall amounts occurring. And this gives you an idea of how conditions are likely to be compared to the historical median. As always, your local climate mate will be happy to go through this with you in more detail. Now taking a quick look at the Bureau's outlook for the northern rainfall onset issued on the 28th of August, and this is the last issue of the northern rainfall onset forecast for the coming wet season. Now most of Queensland has a 60 to 80% chance of an earlier than usual onset. Now let's look at temperatures. The differences from average for maximum temperature show warmer conditions across Queensland for the 2 weeks from the 4th to the 17th of September, and here the average is calculated over the 1981 to 2018 period for this time of year. For minimum temperature, we're also looking at warmer conditions across most of the state, particularly in the north and east for that 2 week period. Now looking at the chance of extremes map for the 3 months from September to November, we're seeing an elevated chance of unusually warm days in northern and central eastern regions and unusually warm nights across Queensland. And by unusually warm, we mean the highest 20% of historical temperature records for this time of year based on that 1981 to 2018 period. Now these long-range forecasts for rainfall and temperature do provide the best local guidance for climate, so that is our focus here, and these forecasts consider all ocean and atmosphere conditions that can affect seasonal weather and climate. But if you are interested in some of the climate indicators that can influence the forecast, we will have a quick look at these now. And the El Nino Southern Oscillation remains neutral. The Bureau's model suggests that we are likely to remain in this neutral range, so neither El Nino nor La Nina until at least January. And this is consistent with most surveyed international models, although some indicate the potential for borderline La Nina levels. The Indian Ocean Dipole, or the IOD, has been neutral. However, it's likely that we are in the early stages of a negative IOD phase with further development likely. Now, the Bureau's model predicts a negative IOD during spring with a return to neutral in early summer, as is typical. And this is consistent with all surveyed international models. A strong pulse of the Madden-Julian Oscillation, or the MJO, has been over the Indian Ocean in the last few weeks, and it's now weakening over the maritime continent. And the Southern Annular Mode, or the SAM, has recently been strongly positive, but it's forecast to remain neutral for the next few weeks. The sea surface temperature outlook is also likely to be influencing the forecast for Australia, of course. Now, this shows warmer than average waters around northern, eastern and southeastern Australian regions persisting for the September to November period. And in fact, sea surface temperatures in the Australian region have been the warmest, or the second warmest on record, for each month since July last year. Now, turning to the pasture growth outlook from long paddock for the 3 months from August to October. Not much happening for northern regions at this time of year, but some of the southern regions are expected to see varying amounts of pasture growth in response to the expected rainfall in the coming months. And finally, looking at the Cattle Comfort Index prototype forecasts at nacp.org.au, index values between 30 and 35 degrees represent moderate stress to cattle. Values between 35 and 40 degrees represent severe stress, and values above 40 degrees are considered extreme. And we are expecting varying heat stress conditions over Northern Australia, with some moderate to severe conditions to be aware of in the days ahead. But as always, for more information and updates, visit the Bureau's climate pages at bond.gov.au/climate. If you have any questions about recent conditions or the use of weather and climate forecasts, please reach out to your local climate mate. You can read more about the Northern Australia Climate Program at nacp.org.au. See you next time.